Hey everybody, this is Rachel, and you're listening to Life Unmasked podcast. Today we're going to talk about Alonzo Brooks. Many of you has seen the Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix recently, where they covered the case of Alonzo Brooks. And since the series aired on Netflix, there's been a lot of buzz on the internet about his case. This is a guy, a young fellow that disappeared on April the 3rd, 2004, 16 years ago. He was a very young guy. He went to a party with a group of friends, and his friends left the party without him, and he vanished. For about a month, there were searches, and nobody found him. And after almost 30 days, his body was found behind the house. It was a farmhouse in a very rural area, and he was found there. Uh, there were no signs of struggle, no signs of knife wounds, blunt trauma, gunshots, anything. There was nothing that really indicated the cause of death, even though he had part of his front neck really destroyed by the elements, so they couldn't really rule out uh, suffocation or something like that. But the medical examiner in the case didn't couldn't really rule the cause of death definitely. Now, I've been searching the internet a lot and read a lot of things on Reddit, and people have a lot of theories about Alonzo Brooks. And the Netflix series really hinted into the racial thing and about him being uh, African American and Mexican in an area where it was the majority of the people were white. But I want to cover a few things that I don't think people have been talking about in a more objective way, the way I see it at least. So I'm going to throw out a couple of things here that I think are worth considering if we really want to talk about solving this case, right? I want to point out that they put out a reward after the show aired, and they even exhumed his body, but I haven't heard anything since July, really. I don't know if they're still working on the new autopsy. They're trying to find something new. But I want to talk a little bit about the theories around this case and where I stand as far as understanding this case so far. First of all, Alonzo was about 22 years old at the time, and he went to this party, which was really a high school party. People at the party were about 16 to 18 years old, and he was the oldest. And a lot of people, the one of the first theories, and I think one of the things that Netflix covered is the attitude of his friends, why his friends left him there. Keep in mind that he was the oldest guy in the crowd. There were, I think, two or three people driving, so two or three cars. And if you were ever young, you probably have been in a situation before where you go to a party with a group of friends, and eventually some people leave. You want to stay behind. You're having fun. Nobody wants. Some people want to leave. You don't. You count on the fact that you're gonna catch a ride later on with somebody else, and it happens. I'm not saying that's what happened in this case, but I'm saying it could happen easily, right? That's not completely out of the ordinary. And I know a lot of people put a lot of weight on the fact that, oh, those guys were not his friends. They how could they possibly leave him behind? Okay, let's consider that this was not a neighborhood party. Drove they had a long ride to this party. It's probably over an hour away from, it's a different town, very isolated area, like in a farmhouse. And a lot of people ask, oh, why did they go to this party in the first place? This is a white city, not a lot of biracial people around, not a lot of black people or Mexicans in this area, and everybody knows there's a certain level of prejudice there. But Alonzo was the oldest. This is what one thing that we have to keep in mind. Everybody else in the group was younger than him, and as far as I can tell, he seemed to be a very confident guy. I don't know. I'm just guessing based on what Netflix showed. He seemed to be a very confident guy, got along well with everybody, didn't really have a lot of problems with the fact that he was black and Mexican. All his friends were white. All the friends that went to this party with him were white. So Maybe he didn't really care, or he didn't really know that it could be a problem eventually. I don't know. But to me, the argument that the friends that took him to this party has something to do, any of them have that have something to do with his death, I don't really see it that way. Honestly, um, I think he was just there, with his friends, and I think none of them saw any danger in it. Maybe I'm being naive. I don't know, but I don't see anybody in that group having any reason to set him up so he could, I don't know, get killed in a party like that. I don't see a reason for that. And honestly, I think Alonzo, being the oldest of the group, might be the guy with the most confident attitude in the group. Maybe this is one of the reasons why he stood behind. Everybody left and he decided to stay. A lot of people say that one of his friends described him and as being too happy and having too much fun at this party, and that couldn't be the case. But honestly, if you're ever young and if you're ever 22, you probably think that you know everything, and kids 16, 17, 18 year olds know nothing. So you really feel at the top of your game when you are mixed with that crowd young. So I can see him saying, okay, I'm going to stay behind. The Netflix show also hints to the fact that he was flirting with some girl. I don't know if they hooked up or not. I don't know if it ever went any further than them just talking, but it could be one of the reasons why he decided to stay behind. The show also touches on the fact that there was a little bit of an argument between him and another guy, probably in the beginning of the party. Some racial slurs slammed around, but his friends said that he didn't get shaken up by that. He kept enjoying the party regardless. Now, are they telling the truth? We don't know. But again, I can see that happening. If he was really that confident of a guy, if he had a right attitude, why would he care? Maybe he was having fun. I don't know. But let's take it a little bit further. Um, at some point, everybody leaves, and the all his friends leave, and the guy that was supposed to give him a ride home left to buy cigarettes. This is the part that uh, gets everybody gets hang everybody's gonna get a hang up on this one, because this guy is going to says that he left to buy cigarettes. And now I can see how hard it could be to buy cigarettes in a place like this is a farm area. There's really nothing around. But people from the area say that there's the city's like to the right or something like that. It's not that far away, but probably he wouldn't be able to find anything open. Now, maybe this guy didn't really know the area and he thought he could find a gas station or someplace that he could buy cigarettes. I don't know. There are inconsistencies with the story regarding this friend, because Netflix is showing on the Netflix show, he said that his car got stuck. But I read on other articles online saying that he said that he had car problems, and he had somebody else in the car with him. He was not actually alone. And there's a witness that could corroborate his story, saying that he called somebody else at the party, a guy named Adam, that we don't know who he is because he didn't show up on the Netflix series. But this guy talked to him, and I guess eventually he ended up leaving. I could see somebody getting lost in an area that they don't know. Me personally, I get lost all the time, even in places that I already know, so I'm terrible when it comes to navigation. And I can definitely see somebody getting lost in the middle of the night after drinking a lot. But he called back. He called Adam, and he said he heard Alonzo in the background. So where's Adam? This is the guy that everybody should be looking for. The guy who stood behind with Alonzo. How did Adam leave? Eventually, they said that Adam couldn't find Alonzo, and Adam eventually left. Well, this is a big house, yes, but it's not that big of a place. So where was Alonzo? Was he in a room with a girl? Was he in the back of the house with a girl? Was he talking to somebody else? If he was at the party up until that point without any issues, I don't know. Maybe everything was okay. I don't know. Or maybe not. Some people speculate that this Adam friend saw something happening and fled in fear of something happening to him eventually. He probably saw something happening with Lonzo, and instead of helping, he left because he was just alone. It could have been, yes, it could. But again, maybe it was just a misunderstanding. Maybe this Adam guy was talking to some other group of people, maybe to some other girl. Maybe he eventually got tired and left, and maybe he asked Alonzo to leave, and Alonzo left. I don't know. He said, as far as what the friend said, that it's just that Adam didn't find Alonzo. He thought Alonzo had already left, and so he decided to leave. Now, the Unsolved Mysteries doesn't really touch much on the investigation itself, and I read about it online a lot. And according to the people that researched the case further, the FBI talked to a whole bunch of people that was at that party. I know there are a lot of theories about, oh, maybe there was never a party, maybe the party never happened, maybe his friends set him up. I just don't believe in that. I believe there was a party. I don't know how many people were there, but I don't know. If you believe in a conspiracy that big that the FBI will be involved with the local police, I can see conspiracies going on when you're just talking about one local department. But I think there was KBI and FBI involved, and I don't believe they would have covered up that deep. I don't know. I could be wrong. But again, he disappears. There's another inconsistency with this story because the Netflix series says that the next day his friends went back there looking for him, along with another guy friend, another guy that did not go to the party. This guy said he found his shoes, one on each side of the road, plus his hat. Now, recently, I read an article saying where another friend said that that's not right, that both his shoes were found side by side on the road, one next to the other, and the hat on the other a little bit further away. Now, why is this important? This is mainly important because it's one thing to find one shoe in each side of the road scattered around. Something else is find two shoes perfectly aligned as somebody actually took them off. And this is going to go now. This is where I'm going to get to my own theory, my personal opinion. Okay, what could happen here if his shoes were scattered? If both shoes and hat were all scattered in a road, you could easily believe that there's an altercation that happened. Maybe he was on top of a truck. Maybe somebody had killed him already and threw his shoes away. But if that's the case, why would you leave the shoes there? If there was foul play, really, why would you just throw his shoes out on the road knowing that people are going to come look for him? And you leave the shoes right there so everybody can find it and immediately assume foul play. A lot of people believe they hid the body for a month. If you're going to hide the body, you're going to leave the shoes there and the hat. If you're going to hide him so nobody finds him, why don't just take the shoes and the hat with you and get rid of everything? And if you're going to hide the body, why put it back on the spot 30 days later so people can go away and forget about the case? I don't know. When you look at the map at the place, it's so isolated. They just could make him disappear very easily, I believe. I don't know. uh let's talk a little bit about the finding of the body. And I definitely get the frustration from the family and the difficulties in the search. But a lot of people dispute the search, saying that the body was never there, and that the search and rescue team saying that, oh, if the body was there, we would have found it uh, in the second or third day. I don't know. A lot of people say it was raining a lot. The creek was a lot higher. The water was a lot higher. There's a lot of brushes. I don't know. Could his body have moved with the water? Maybe. It's a possibility. We have to consider that. Now, when they eventually find his body, his brother was there. I think it was his brother or his uncle was there. Oh, his brother. Yes. His brother was there, and he said that his body looked normal. normal color. He didn't seem bloated at all. But then again, we have to consider that this is the point of view of a civilian, not a medical professional. I don't know. I've never seen a dead body in my life, but I don't know if I could identify uh, signs of decomposition. And I'm not disputing his opinion. Maybe that's what he saw. Maybe that's what he believes it is. And maybe he's right. And a lot of people dispute the medical examiner's opinion because they say he was a crooked guy. There's a lot of evidence of mishandling bodies and removing organs. And there was a case against him in the 90s or something like that. He had to be relocated. Bottom line is his record is not clean. However, he said that the body did not show any signs of foul play. He could not see knife wounds, gunshot wounds, blunt force trauma wounds, uh, except for the damage of decomposition in his neck. That's the only thing that he could see, but that in and of itself could not prove foul play. Foul play could have been easily been done by insects or animals in the area. And a lot of people may ask, well, why just the neck area? Why not the rest of the body? I don't know. I'm not a medical examiner. However, let's just say he had some sort of injury on his neck. Maybe he fell. I don't know. And if you have any open wound and you left on the elements, I think as a regular civilian, I'm not a medical, maybe that's the first place where the bugs or the animals are going to go for. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I don't know. Now, uh, I have one theory. I think that, I mean, we can argue both sides, but if we argue on the side of an accident, the Netflix series also mentions that he had his foot was injured. I think a week before. His mother said that he had some sort of accident playing basketball or some sport, something like that, and his ankle was swollen. And his friend said he put two socks on or something like that in a boot because his ankle was swollen. So maybe he was unable to run, or just to walk too fast or something like that. So if you think, let's just think about a scenario here. Let's just think about it. His friends left. Maybe he hooked up with a girl. Maybe not. Maybe he was there late, and eventually he was getting too late, and he decided to leave and start looking for his friends, and he couldn't find them. He went outside and said, "Damn, everybody left. What am I supposed to do?" Uh, if you ever had an swollen ankle, you can probably relate to the fact that having a boot or a shoe on is going to hurt a lot. And if you start moving around a lot, your ankle is going to get a little bit more swollen. It's going to get unbearable. You're eventually going to have to take off your shoes. So if we think about why the shoes were there on the side of the road, the first thing that came to my mind was maybe he started walking. He said, well, everybody left. I'm just going to go to the side of the road to try to catch a ride or something. Or at the worst scenario, walk. Well, he's over an hour away by car. It's going to take him all night to get back walking. But I think he was just trying to catch a ride. But his feet was hurting, so he decided to take off his boots. Maybe he was in a lot of pain. Maybe he drank a lot. Maybe it started raining, and everybody said that it rained that night. Maybe rain started to, get a little bit more heavy, and he went down to the creek to get cover. And maybe he passed out. Maybe, I don't know, he passed out facing the water. Maybe he felt bad. Maybe he threw up, and something of that nature could have happened. And if he passed out and with the face in the water, he could have easily drowned. But again, the autopsy report, I don't think there was water in his lungs or something like that. I don't know. I can't remember, but I don't think that was the case. But what about alcohol poisoning? Maybe he passed out. Maybe, I don't know. And maybe he fell in the water, and maybe he was already passed out. Maybe he was already dead, and the water just took him away. That's one scenario. That would include anybody else. Maybe he fell with his neck on a rock or something like that, something that opened a little bit of a wound in his neck, and that could explain the fact that this is the part of his body that was mostly destroyed by animals, by wildlife. This was one scenario that came to my mind. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's the first thing that came to my mind when I saw the episode, right off the bat. Now, if you want to believe there was foul play involved, you have to believe that a lot of people were involved in it. Let's just say there were about 50 people in this party, as the show mentions. Let's just say by the end of the night, you would have, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 people there. Still, it's a lot of people. Maybe by the time everybody left, maybe there was an altercation between Alonzo and somebody else. Now, here's the question. If this fight happened and if it got physical, how did they kill him? Did they beat him up? A lot of people say that horrible things could have happened. Maybe they hanged him or something like that. But if that's the case, why can't we see anything on the autopsy report related to that? I don't think he was beaten at all. If he was eventually beaten, there was no cracked ribs, broken arms, legs, none of that. We would have seen something if he took a heavy beating. I don't know. I just don't know. There was no knife or gun involved, and it would have to be either somebody hanged him, I don't know where, or he was beaten, and I don't know. I can't really see that happening. If they, let's just say people hung him from, I don't know, a tree around. Why take his body with them? Did they hang him and throw his body in the creek and the water took him away and nobody found him for 30 days, and then by luck 30 days later they found him? Or there's another theory that maybe they put him in the back of a truck and took him to a freezer and then put him back there. That to me doesn't really make any sense, honestly. Even if you own a restaurant and if you ever worked in one, you see that walking freezers, people go in and out all the time. Employees, owners, people that work with it at the place, they clean up the place, they stock the place. I mean, it's not a place that's going to be locked up for 30 days without any transit of people. So I don't know. And to me, if they killed him and if they wanted him to disappear, it really doesn't make sense to me that they would put his body back. To me, if foul play was involved, it just would make sense that they would just put his body in a creek and then the water just did the rest of the work for 30 days, or they hid him in a way that nobody could find him for a while, put a lot of, I don't know, branches, leaves or stuff on top of his body, so eventually when they found him, he would have been, I don't know, decomposition would have gone through and it would be a little bit more difficult to find the cause of death. But I don't know. Out of all the cases of the unsolved mysteries, I I just have the feeling that this was an accident. I don't know. I could be wrong. But an accident makes a lot of sense. Even if you want to consider that there was foul play involved in the, I mean, even if you consider there was a fight at the end of the party, maybe there was an altercation, maybe there were arguments, maybe got a little bit physical. But I don't know. I think if there was an intentional killing, I think they would have made him disappear. That forever. This is what I believe in. I think maybe he was trying to catch a ride with somebody. Maybe in the process of trying to catch a ride to leave, he may have gotten into some sort of argument, but he probably got pissed off and decided to just walk to the road and try to catch a ride from a stranger. His ankle got swollen. He decided to take off his shoes. It started raining. He was eventually alone. And he went down to the creek and probably laid there or and passed out, or I don't know, something else happened. He probably had some other thing that led to his demise. Maybe he fell, considering that his ankle was hurt, and he took off his shoes and he was trying to walk barefoot, trying to find cover, and he could have slipped and fell. And maybe if you fall face down and in that falls something, your neck actually falls into something very rigid or solid like a rock, it could potentially create damage and he could have passed out and died from it. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a medical professional, but this is what I see. I don't know. I haven't seen much updates since July, and we're the beginning of September of 2020 now. So this is what I think. I don't know. I might be wrong. Maybe there was foul play involved, but I don't really see none of his friends being involved in this. I'm not saying that young people don't have bad in their hearts and they were not capable of doing something bad, but I don't see a reason why. Honestly, they could be just young kids being stupid, made a bad decision, left their friend behind, and Alonzo might have been confident enough to stay behind and think everything was going to be okay. And honestly, I think that's exactly what he thought. He thought that, that's fine. I can handle myself. Nothing's going to happen. All these are kids. I'm older than ever. Most of the people in this party. I'm just going to have some fun and I'll find a way home. I think that's what happened. I don't know. You guys can tell me your theories. This is what I decided to put out because I believe that it's very unfortunate. He was a very young guy, very bright, uh, wonderful smile. He probably was the light of his family's life, and his life was cut short so easily. But maybe it could have been something just unfortunate. Maybe it was nobody else's fault. I don't know. I've been seeing a lot of brutal attacks directed to people from that little town. I don't know any of them, but it's very difficult to see people making that sort of judgment based on a TV show. I think there's a lot to be learned from this case, and people should do their own research um, because I'm sure there's good people in that little town. I'm sure there's people that can be very offended just thinking that because this could be turned into a racial thing, a lot of these people might just suffer a lot of attacks that are there's no reason behind it. Maybe none of them have had anything to do with this. Rumors are not necessarily facts. And I think if we want to help this family and look at this case further, we really have to look at the facts. And I don't see anything solid that can point to this whole plot to just kill this young man. I don't think that's what happened. I don't know. I don't think his friends had anything to do with it. And as far as the people from the party, we know very little about them. That's the truth. And maybe none of them wanted to participate simply just not to feed the frenzy. I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I'm very intrigued about this case. I thought a lot about it. I keep thinking about it. Every once in a while, I check the internet to see if there's any news about his new autopsy. I thought we would have information by now, considering it's been 2, 3 months now. And we'll see. Maybe we'll get updates soon. But this is my opinion. If you guys want to share yours, feel free to leave it in the comments. And hopefully, we'll find the answers that his family really needs to get closure. So that's it. That's my opinion. So I'll see you guys soon.